Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the most commonly used brackets in our deck construction and some of my favorites. So if you like this video, don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. So what you see here is just a very small percentage of what a company called Simpson Strong-Tie makes to support deck construction. They actually make thousands of different types of brackets and connectors for different applications. A lot of it is for the commercial and housing development sector of construction, but they also have a pretty healthy section just for decks, believe it or not. So I thought I'd go over, for some of you that maybe don't know as much as a conventional deck builder does or a professional deck builder would, I just wanted to go over some of the most common that we use and kind of go over those with you and just to let you know some of the stuff that I'm putting into some of my builds, okay? So we'll start with the most common two products that we use just about on every deck build at some capacity. I'll tell you, the first one we use on every deck is called a joist hanger. Now, this is a Strong-Tie joist hanger. This is called a LUS 210Z. I don't even have to look at this to tell you the model number. I use so many of these. It's stamped right into the bottom of the joist hanger, just so you know. What does that Z mean at the end? LUS, I'm not sure what that stands for. 210 obviously is for 2x10. Z is for Z-Max. So basically this joist hanger has 8 points of attachment to your ledger, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 4 points of attachment through the ledger and into the wall plate, which you got to use a longer fastener for these 4 screws right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can use nails or you can use Simpson's Strong-Tie SD connector screws to attach these joist hangers. Usually we're doing a mix. We're using a joist hanger nail into these 4 over here and these 4 over here. And then we're using a 2.5-inch SD screw, connector screw, which is structurally rated to help hold the joist to the wall. What it's doing is called double shear. So it's going through this hanger, through the corner of the joist, and into the back wall, through the plywood siding or whatever siding is on there, or sheathing, excuse me, through the sheathing of the wall and into the back plate or the belly board or hopefully some kind of structure behind that, okay? So they call that a double shear. Now this particular bracket is good for a 2x8 or a 2x10 joist. I like to size my joist hangers usually to the nominal size of the timber, except for when I'm using thicker joists, like a 2x12, I only have the capability of using a LUS 210Z, which is this one right here. So even though the joist is sticking up this high, this is still adequate, engineered and designed to be used with a 2x10 and a 2x12. This is a 2x6 joist hanger, LUS 26Z. It's designed to use with 2x6 and 2x8 hangers, but I only like to use these with 2x6. It's just a personal thing. There's nothing wrong with using this with a 2x8. It's been engineered to do that. Now, I also have the Z. What the Z stands for is a coating on the metal called Z-Max. Z-Max coating is triple protection from the corrosion that you might receive when you have pressure-treated materials that want to corrode metal. They have an extra protective layer on the metal so that that doesn't happen, or at least it doesn't happen anytime soon. If you're concerned about that, or you live in a marine environment, and if you do live in a marine environment, you know that salt water is very corrosive to steel. Then we can go to a stainless steel joist hanger, which is this one right here. This is a 2x8 stainless steel joist hanger. You can see how it's 2 inches taller than the 2x6. Very similar in insulation, but it's made from stainless steel. It's about 4 to 5 times pricier than a standard Z-Max joist hanger, but it's probably gonna last 4 or 5 times longer too, right? Especially in those saltwater environments. Now, I've been, where I live, we have a lot of salt water, we have a lot of fresh water. I've done a lot of docks on freshwater lakes, and I've also worked on homes on the saltwater, and I've actually been on bids where I've gone under a house in low tide, because in high tide, the water comes up underneath the house. The house is on pilings. I went underneath the house to look, and it had standard steel in certain spots, which were completely corroded and falling apart, and it had stainless steel, and these stainless steel brackets were still rocking and rolling. Now, Strong-Tie also makes stainless steel SD screws, connector screws to go with their stainless steel hardware, just so you know. So there you go. So that is my #1 fastener that we use all the time with every deck that we build. We use joist hangers. Okay, these right here, this is an elevated post bracket. It has a 1-inch standoff base. So I use these a lot on top of concrete, where I just need to maybe put a 1/2-inch bolt fastener, and it'll tell you right on the stamps, it says use a 1/2-inch fastener with this particular brand. And Strong-Tie also makes all their own concrete fasteners. They make Titan bolts and wedge anchors that you can use to lock this down to cement, concrete. Sometimes we pour a footing hole, we make a nice flat top. This goes on top of that. That gives you your positive connection from your beam or your post to the concrete. So there's no uplift, no wind uplift. You can use the same SD structural screws in both sides of this. You can use 2.5s or 1.5s, and that'll lock it all together. That's an ABA 4.4, which means it's good for a 4x4, but I've also used these in different instances where I'm actually just sticking a beam on here and locking the beam right to the side of this. So we use these a lot. We don't use them on every deck, but we do use them a lot in our construction. And I think these are great. Now, so far, everything I've shown you, you can pretty much get at Home Depot or your local lumber supplier. Now I call this a hurricane clip. It's called a H1Z. This is a positive connection from your beam to your joists. Using toenails on an inspection isn't gonna be good enough. That's not gonna pass code. So you gotta have a way to tie the joists that are going from here on top of your beam like this, okay? So this satisfies that code. They aren't the most beautiful thing in the world, so we also use some other special ties that are available. I didn't happen to have one here today, but this is also a very commonly used bracket for deck building. All right, here's a beam hanger. This is like a 4x8 beam hanger. This is an exterior flange beam hanger. There's nothing wrong with these. If you have the right application for it, you can use your SD screws or your Tico nails right through it, right into the side of the wall. And then again, similar as a joist hanger, you're gonna use 4 fasteners, either a 3.5-inch like joist hanging nail, or those 3-inch SD screws work really great. Again, Z-Max. And then on the flip side of that, there's also the concealed flange, which is a kind of a little bit beefier beam hanger. This one is a HUC 412Z. So this is a 4x12 concealed flange beam hanger, and we're gonna run SD screws in all the circular holes. The triangular holes you see are designed for hurricane winds and high wind loads. We don't usually have to worry about those. Sometimes we fill them, but usually I don't. I just fill the ones with the circles, and you're doing great. And then there's 3 or 4 screws on the side, and then again, the high wind are the triangular shaped holes and the circular holes. We don't really get 200-mile-an-hour winds where I live, so we usually don't worry too much about it. A little bit thicker gauge on these, still Z-Max coated, okay? And right here, this is an ABW 46Z. This is basically just an elevated post bracket that you would use. Again, it's similar to this one here, a little bit heavier duty, and it covers all 4 sides. This one's designed for a 4x6. There's a little bit of a angular cutout for a 1/2-inch Titan bolt, so you can kind of move this around a little bit if you need to make it fit properly. And then it also has a 1-inch standoff in it, so that your post isn't sitting on the ground, which I think is great. And then once you get this to the certain point, you get the bolt installed and you have your post in here, then you take this part and you bend it up. And again, you're using those SD screws. It comes with a special washer. You gotta use the special washer with the bracket, but that's really gonna hold this thing down to the concrete, give you that positive connection. This is designed more for taller, like a 2nd-story deck, and you have a concrete footing down below, and you need to attach this to that. That's how that works, like that. This gets bent up, gets fastened, and then you can leave it like it is or wrap that post, whatever you need to do to give it that look you're going for. Strong-Tie also makes a decorative set of bracketry that are all powder-coated black. It's called Outdoor Accents. So this is actually a 4x8 hanger. even though it's a little stubby, it's still structurally strong. It's very heavy gauge steel, and you use the same. Now these are the SDS screws. With this bracketry, you're gonna use their SDS screws, which is a little bit bigger than the SD screws, and then you're gonna use their Outdoor Accents heavy duty gauge fasteners with their washers, their decorative washers, to do the side attachments. This is for visual. So if you want something to look really nice, it's a concealed flange, which looks clean when it's installed. And then you have these two oversized bolts with the fasteners that go in that look really nice as well. I really like this line, this Outdoor Accents line. It takes a little bit more time to install this than a exterior flanged fastener does, but it just depends on the look you're going for, and you know how much you want to spend, how much time, how much effort, how much money you want to spend with the decorative part of the build. So I've used these on patio covers that have exposed beams and things like that, which makes them look really nice, and it just lets that client know you're going the extra mile for them. So that's a really cool bracket as well that we use quite often in our upper echelon builds. All right, guys. So there's a little bit of an introduction. Don't forget to check out Strong Tie online, www.strongtie.com. They have, like I said, just amazing support, amazing amount of fasteners, and they have it all cataloged for you with all the data and technical details you may need or that you're looking for in your particular build. So thanks for watching this video. If you like what you saw, don't forget to click that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. Don't forget to like this video and leave us a comment below and let us know how we're doing. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.